Spreading democracy across the galaxy for the last month has been incredibly satisfying, to the point of democracy potentially getting a look in for Oxford's Word of the Year. Or so I hear. That being said, while democracy is what we all strive to work towards, it isn't always easy, so on this channel we'll be doing a series of videos to help you in the fight, both against bug and machine kind. In this video we'll look to take on the biggest of all threats on the Terminid side of the universe, the big chungus themselves, the Bile Titans. Now we'll discuss stratagems, tactics, and just overall useful tips to make that fight much easier, even if one just turns up at a time. So what are we waiting for, divers? Let's get to it. Now if you've come across a Titan in the wild, you'll know just how fierce they can be. Large in size and easily able to pick off unprepared divers one by one, dealing with a Bile Titan effectively really can make or break a run, especially if you don't have the loadout for them. So let's run you through some great and effective stratagems, some that can easily be picked up at lower diver levels too, just in case you fancy punishing your new friends to the game, or you want to contribute on difficulty 7 or higher. Starting with the support weapons, a category designed to cover all the weapons that you can call down and keep in your third slot of your diver. We will cover the best in slot, but it's also worth mentioning what to avoid here as well, due to the Titan's armoured outside, blocking a lot of incoming fire if you don't have the penetration for it. In this group we'll drop in the laser cannon, anti-material rifle, grenade launcher, machine gun, stalwart, and the flamethrower. Now while some of these are great picks outside of taking on Titans, they do fail in this video specifically at helping with the walking bug tank. Be it the laser cannon taking an age to do any kind of damage, the sniper needing to ADS every single time limiting your movement and still only effective in the belly region, the grenade launcher just not being good with armor in general, and both machine guns only able to damage in the belly region, just like with the sniper, they just don't bring enough to the table to even worth bringing along here for pure Titan killing. Now don't get me wrong, some of these options here are great for general killing and other means, which is also the same for the flamethrower. Being able to take down charges fast and clear out swarms in a single mag, the flamethrower does boast plenty of reasons to bring along, even if it just can't take on the large bug. But trying to flame down a Titan due to its range properties means that you're most likely in for a bad time, and you'll be respawning more often than you care to admit. So with those out the way, let's look at what does work, what support weapons really do pack that punch needed to smack the Titan around, starting with everyone's favourite, the railgun. Now one thing to take note of here is the railgun now is only strong here if you swap it into unsafe mode, making you a bit of a liability if you don't learn how to control that charge mechanic. But once you do have this down, you can fire this twice into a mid-spew Titan's mouth to make a nice cost-effective down of the biggest target currently in the game. That said, the railgun isn't unlocked until level 20, making this one of the last items to unlock to do this task, so if you're looking for ways to do this sooner, don't worry, I have you covered. Next up on the list we have the EAT rockets, possibly the best early unlock in this video, unlocked as early as level 3, but made even more so after the recent patch made these deadly to head areas on armoured enemies. With patch 1.000.102, anti-tank rockets have a chance to one-hit kill a charger, but still potentially take 2 for killing the dreaded Bile. For a weapon unlocked that early on, having 2 charges and a ridiculously short cooldown allowing for spam, the expendable anti-tank really is one of the better go-to options for the Helldiver on the move. The last support I want to make the list comes in the form of another weapon unlocked at the later stage of level 20, and this is going to be meeting the Spear missile launcher, the big daddy of the explosives world. Well, at least for what a Helldiver can carry anyways. No disrespect, Mr. 500 kilo. In case you haven't used the Spear yet, and I don't blame you too much here, this lead rocket launcher needs a lock-on to fire in the first place and takes up your backpack slot to carry its large ammo. Locking onto Bile Titans is mostly a breeze with this thing due to them being high in the air and away from other targets that could block its locking. But the real beauty of the Spear comes from its damage, boasting insanely high damage and armor penetration to the point of blowing out chunks in charges and Titans alike. With correct manipulation of the Titan during locking on, and with a teeny bit of luck, this rocket directly impacting the Titan's head is a one-hit KO, felling it in a single strike, a feat that only really can be matched by some top-tiered stratagems. The main downside with the Spear is how vulnerable it makes the user during its locking on animation, when the reload requiring you to stand still and the locking on itself being very buggy, to the point that sometimes it just outright refuses to work in the first place. Not very democratic of it. Now fortunately with the change in the latest patch we are now able to restock some of this ammo from resupply drops, making the Spear much easier to use in prolonged games, but you will only get 1 rocket per supply pack, so don't try to hog the ammo too much. So that's 3 ways of getting fast Titan kills right off the bat, and with a bit of practice you can get these fast kills fairly consistently. Practice makes perfect in democracy. So how about we shift over to something a bit more deadlier, something packing a bit more firepower? Well, of course this means I'm talking about orbital and eagle strikes, something to light up the battlefield like no other. With this list, I'm looking for things that can effectively and efficiently take down a Bile Titan, preferably in 1 or 2 strikes at most, or at least do such a huge chunk of damage to it ready to finish off with something smaller. So let's kick it off with something we all know and love, and it's no secret the 500 kilo Eagle Strike is deadly. Like, off the charts deadly. This massive payload is swiftly delivered to the target, dropping a bomb and then for it to explode violently just a second or 2 later, leaving behind a crater where the bugs or teammates once stood. The main issue you'll have with the 500 kilo though is its cooldown mechanic, as unlike orbitals, this will only recharge after your eagle is sent to rearm. Now if you've just taken the 500 with you and know where the eagle strikes, this isn't really a problem, as it will head off to automatically do so after it's been used. But if you do have a strafing run or rocket pods also equipped and loaded, the eagle will only go and rearm if you've expended them as well, or you've sent it to manually rearm. With prior knowledge, this isn't so much of a problem as you do get used to it, and can also be offset a little by having the full hangar upgrades to the ship, giving you 2 500 kilos each rearm before it needs to jet off. One gripe I do have over the 500 kilo though is how its damage seems to work, meaning Titans will regularly survive if they have scooted away from the epicenter of the explosion. So yes, while it can kill a Titan in one single blow, it takes some insane accuracy and luck to pull off. That said, it's still one of the best options in the game and still worthy of making off this list. Shifting from an eagle strike to an orbital one, the railgun is without doubt one of the best stratagems to exist in this game, just full stop. Easy to call in, easy to aim, and devastating to large targets alike, the railgun is commonly seen in high level play and for good reason. Having something you can throw down in a hurry and auto-lock onto a target and not be wasted on a tiny trash enemy is an absolute godsend in this game, especially with charges running amok. The other plus point working in the railgun's favour is the lack of splash damage, meaning this one is one of the safest stratagems to call in around teammates in the game and not get a round of abuse in the chat for team kills. High damage, huge chance to strip off armor plates, and fairly low cooldown after usage means the railgun is one of the best places to put your requisition slips in and should be unlocked as soon as it possibly can. That being said, it rarely does get the one-shot kill on Titans due to how it aims, and because you can't manually adjust to aim closer to the head, there's not a lot of things that you can do to increase these chances. But swapping back to eagle strikes now, and you'd probably expect me to say the rocket pods deserve a slot here, and personally I've had such a bad time with aiming these and hitting what I need them to, and I've just kind of left them behind so long ago and just not looked back. Instead though comes possibly my single favourite strike in the entire game, and this is the Eagle Airstrike. Coming with 2 charges at standard and 3 with a max hangar upgrade, the Eagle Airstrike is perfect all-rounder that exists inside this game. Large and predictable AoE for ad clearing, hits through armor unlike the Eagle Cluster Bomb, and it's even great for clearing out bug hives as the bombs can close up the holes, saving you when you're lacking on needed grenades. I've felled Titans with a single well-placed airstrike, which considering you need to be precise for the 500 kilo to work as well, you have a little bit more versatility and less chance of team kills with the airstrike, so I know which one I would prefer out the 2. The airstrike isn't without its downsides though, as it does require a full-on direct hit into the Titan's back to get that high damage and one-shot, but with a bit of practice, it's easy enough to get down, and you'll wonder if the 500 kilo is even worth the investment. The last spot on the recommendations has to go to the Def Laser itself, the main stratagem that everyone loves to use and wet their pants at the sight of seeing it. The orbital laser is amazing at clearing out nests, allowing it to move from target to target, bursting down and setting fire to anything it hits. This means that it can take on several targets at the same time, with one single throw, and unlike the others, it can automatically adjust itself to do so, requiring little to no aiming. The laser does come with a couple of big downsides though, as the laser can easily start tracking smaller targets, leading it to see those pesky hunters right next to you and burst both you and the bug down. The laser is also a tad on the slow side for killing, taking several seconds of continuous fire to get the Titan low. Now if you're okay with fire and forget, so the laser can do its own thing, then this won't be an issue, but it's still going to be something that you need to be aware of. Lastly, this is the only stratagem on this list to feature a total amount of uses per drop, meaning after 3 uses the laser cannot be used again until you drop onto your next mission. Personally, I do find this a little bit baffling, as the laser is good for sure, but do I value it more over the orbital rail cannon or other items on this list? Not really, so why does it need a usage count? I do hope we get to see a change of this in the future, especially once more stratagems become available, but for now, it's still a very useful way of being able to tackle those titans. I do want to give one single honourable mention here, which is to the orbital walking barrage, as I did take this into a mission to try out against bigger targets, and was very surprised to see a direct hit on a titan took this down in one single go. Now, while the walking barrage isn't the easiest thing to aim, and you'll also struggle to get this consistently, it's still something to be aware of, and if you have a trail of bugs in front of you, this could just be a great way of being able to deal with them. This leaves us with one stratagem that doesn't quite fit into either category that we've already mentioned, the recently released Patriot Exosuit. Now, this mech suit is perfectly equipped to deal with any large targets that you need felling, and while it's best at dealing with charges, it's still more than up to the task for taking down titans. Now, while the minigun arm won't be putting in work here, the rocket pod will definitely be going hot from firing these off before the titan can get in range of you. It takes roughly 5 rockets per titan to be able to knock them down, potentially less now that the changes have gone live with headshots, which means almost 3 titans can be killed in one single cooldown. Now, this is before we factor in the delivery method also firing on targets, which also tends to put in a lot of work and a lot of pain, but this can't be controlled in what it attacks. I personally love the exosuit for fighting small groups of titans, as it helps with the trash that inevitably spawns as well, and then downs the titan with no cost to your teammates' lives. So we've looked at what takes them down, so what should we be aiming for against the titan if we plan to see that next day? Well, titans are slow, but with their long leg span they easily make ground on you if you're not sprinting. Light and medium armor sets are perfect for keeping your distance, as heavy will slow you down just enough that they can catch you up with your back turned. The stamina upgrade is definitely welcome in higher difficulties, and no point is it more valuable than taking on titans and chargers. With armor penetrating weaponry, it's always worth aiming for the head, now due to the recent patch changing the health properties of that limb. Doing so will save on ammo for that weapon and make it a much faster kill. Fighting a titan is almost always best to fight from a distance due to what is needed to take it down. Not only will the titan try to stand on you or even spit bile at you for a fast kill, it also puts you in the danger zone for friendly strikes trying to remove it from the battlefield. Teammates are best advised to keep distance from the titan and themselves at all times, just to make kiting it easier and so airstrikes have their chance to detonate without casualties. Now, Bile Titans do have a weak spot for you to use conventional firearms on, marked as green on its underbelly. Shooting out these sacks will stop the titan from spewing as an attack, so while it's good for damage, it also has some utility for doing so. Now, keep in mind you will need to be underneath the titan to pull this off, but if you're already there, feel free to put some lead in there for good measure. Now, before I wrap up the video, I did want to discuss my go-to stratagems in a loadout for taking on these titans, especially if I notice that we're short on methods to be able to take them down as I join some randoms. But feel free to mix in match from the rest of this video for your choices, as all of these are great to take in, so find what works for you. Ideally though, I would recommend going for something like the Eagle Airstrike, the Orbital Railgun, the 500 kilo bomb, and the expendable anti-tank support weapon. This loadout is purely there for and designed for taking on big hitters, leaving little help for taking on other common threats that you'll encounter, but if the rest of your team has that covered, then there is nothing stopping you grabbing all of this and becoming the team's Titan killer. And with that, it pretty much wraps it up on the Bile Titan guide. With the above loadout, it's just there for taking on these chunky threats. It isn't my main go-to late difficulty build, so if you're interested on hearing about that, then the video will be going up within the next week or so. This takes us to the part where I want to hear from yourselves. What's your go-to way of dealing with a Titan? Do you think I missed any tips or tricks out? And do you have a particular setup for taking on Titan killing? Let me know all that and more down below. Thank you for making your way to the end of the video, but as I always say, keep yourself safe, keep yourselves well, and I'll see you all on the next video.